Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart Stories, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. Amara sat by the office window sipping lukewarm coffee when her phone buzzed. It was a photo from Mama, a gold invitation with swirling cursive letters. Isioma and Chuka's traditional engagement. Venue, the Obina residence, number 14 Jasmine Close. She stared at the screen. That's our house, she whispered. Her colleague F leaned over. Isn't that your address? Exactly. Later that evening, Amara returned home to chaos, decorators stringing fairy lights, music blasting from speakers, and a fleet of caterers setting trays down on the lawn. Mama, she called. Her mother emerged from the kitchen, wearing a glittery ghillie and overseeing things like a general on a battlefield. Amara, don't just stand there. Help them move the chairs. What's going on? She asked, voice wavering. This says the event is here? Mama looked at her like she'd asked why the sun rose in the morning. Yes, this house is now Isioma's. It's our wedding gift to her and Chuka. Amara froze. What? Since when? Nobody told me. You're still single? Mama cut in sharply. Isioma is starting a home. Be happy for your sister. But where will I go? We'll talk later. Don't spoil the mood. Papa said nothing. He sat on the veranda watching the commotion like it wasn't his business. That night, Amara sat on the porch steps, staring at her home being dressed for someone else's future. Her childhood bedroom was already cleared, the paint fresh. The tree she used to climb was wrapped in fairy lights. She'd always thought this place would be her anchor. Now it was being handed off without a single conversation. Her heart pounded, not from anger, but the sting of invisibility. Amara rose early, hoping it was all just a misunderstanding. Maybe they just meant the compound, not the house. But by morning, trucks rolled in with wedding props. Her favorite reading corner had been turned into a makeup station. Isioma's voice rang through the hallway, laughing with her bridesmaids. Amara tried to join the activity. Can I help with the guest list? She asked. Isioma barely glanced up. No need. You'll only confuse things. Okay. Maybe seating arrangements? Amara, just relax, Mama chimed in. Everything is under control. She stepped away, cheeks burning. Later that afternoon, while passing the kitchen, she overheard Mama's voice. She doesn't understand. This is how it should be. Isioma deserves it. Papa's voice was barely audible. But Amara. Mama snapped. She's strong. She'll survive. Tears stung her eyes. That night, she lay in bed listening to the hammering and drilling downstairs. Each knock felt like a nail sealing her out of her own life. She opened her wardrobe. Some of her clothes were already folded and placed in a bag. They weren't even waiting for the wedding. On Thursday, Chuka arrived with his parents. Luxury cars lined the driveway. His mother stepped out first, flawless makeup, gold lace wrapper and sharp eyes that scanned everything. This house has character, she said, running her fingers along the banister. It's perfect for newlyweds. Amara stood in the corner, unsure whether to greet or disappear. Mama beamed. It's a small token of our love for Isioma. Papa nodded, silent as usual. Chuka wrapped an arm around Isioma's waist. It feels like home already. Amara felt the floor tilt beneath her. That night, during dinner, she finally spoke. So, the house. It's a wedding gift now. Mama didn't look up from her plate. Yes. You're not a child, Amara. You should understand these things. But why wasn't I consulted? Papa sipped his water, avoiding eye contact. You're still young, Mama said, voice tight. You don't have a family yet. Amara stared at them. So being unmarried means I don't matter? Mama's hand stilled. We'll talk about this later. Amara pushed her chair back and walked out. She didn't cry. Not then. Just clenched her jaw and whispered, You gave away my home without a word. On Friday morning, Amara gathered her courage. Let's talk, she said, standing in front of Papa's armchair. He lowered his newspaper. I want answers. What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? Mama entered, tying her wrapper tighter. We can't have this discussion again. There hasn't been a discussion. Amara shot back. Mama sighed. Isioma is getting married. It's tradition to bless them with a start. We thought you'd be mature enough to understand. Mature? Amara scoffed. You blindsided me. Papa cleared his throat. We assumed you'd stay with F or find your own place. And afford that how? You work. I barely make enough to save, Amara replied. I've been contributing here. You'll figure it out, Mama said coldly. You always do. Amara felt her hands trembling. You didn't even ask if I had somewhere to go. We assumed, Papa muttered. She stared at him, this man who taught her how to ride a bike, fix a light bulb, read her first book. He couldn't even meet her eyes now. She turned away. I'll be out before the wedding. No need for drama, Mama called. Amara didn't answer. The walls of the only home she'd ever known were collapsing, and no one was lifting a brick to help her. Boxes. That was all Amara saw on Saturday morning, boxes stacked around her like gravestones to a life once lived. She folded clothes in silence, memories stitched into every thread. Her old birthday dress. The scarf Papa got her in JSS 1. The notebook she wrote her first poem in. Each item was a goodbye. In the hallway, wedding planners rushed past. Isioma strolled by with her gelly halfway tied. You still packing? She asked, chewing gum. Amara didn't reply. You'll be fine, Isioma shrugged. I mean, you've always been the strong one. Amara looked up. Is that what this is about? Strength? So strong people deserve nothing? Isioma rolled her eyes. Don't start. Later that evening, Amara stood in the now empty room. The wall where she'd drawn stars as a child had been painted over in beige. Even the air smelled different, like a place she no longer belonged. She left a key on the table and walked out, her suitcase rolling behind her like a silent protest. From the gate she glanced back one last time. Laughter echoed from inside, Isioma's laughter. This isn't just a wedding. It's an eviction disguised as celebration. She turned and walked into the night, not knowing where she'd sleep, but knowing she couldn't stay. Amara sat cross-legged on F's couch, staring at the ceiling fan spinning above her. It was the night before the wedding, the night her life officially shifted. You okay? F asked gently, setting a cup of tea beside her. Amara gave a weak smile. Define okay. F didn't push. She just sat beside her, letting the silence speak. Across the street from their compound, the house glowed like a palace, fairy lights flickering in gold and white. Music pulsed faintly through the air, carried by the breeze. That's your house, F murmured. No, Amara whispered. Not anymore. From their window, they watched guests arrive in glittering wrappers, head ties, and igbatas. Laughter, joy, glamour. And inside those walls, her room now a dressing suite, her garden now a stage. She thought of her grandmother. Always leave a place with grace, not grudge, she once said. But how do you leave a place you were never asked to leave? Her phone buzzed. Mama, hope you're not causing drama. Tomorrow is not about you. She stared at the message, her throat tightening. F scoffed, reading it over her shoulder. The audacity. I'll go tomorrow, Amara said, voice hollow. I'll show up. Smile. Clap. Wear lace. Then disappear quietly like they want. You sure? She nodded. Then hold your head high, babe, F said. You're not the one who should be ashamed. Amara looked out the window again. Her chest ached, but somewhere deep inside, a resolve was building. If they expect me to vanish, they're not ready for who I'll become. The sun was blazing when Amara arrived at the house. Her gelly was neatly tied, her face calm, but her soul, numb. She blended into the background, standing with the hired servers, holding trays, passing drinks. Nobody acknowledged her as family. Isioma looked radiant, lace flowing, coral beads glistening. Chuka smiled like a man who thought he won the lottery. Where's your sister? One guest asked Mama. Mama chuckled. She's around. Helping with logistics. You know she's always been practical. Amara stood nearby, hearing every word. Daniel, an old classmate who was photographing the event, spotted her. Amara, he blinked. What are you doing carrying drinks? Long story, she said quickly. He lowered his camera. You shouldn't be serving at your sister's wedding. She's the bride. I'm the assistant. That's madness, he muttered. During the ceremony, Chuka's mother took the mic. This house, this beautiful home, will be the start of a great legacy. Everyone clapped. Except Amara. She stepped outside, unable to breathe. The compound had never felt smaller. The place where she once hosted sleepovers, helped wash the car, made jollof on Sunday afternoons, it had become a theater for someone else's fairy tale. A child passed her, accidentally knocking her tray. The drinks splashed onto her wrapper. She gasped but then just laughed. It was bitter, broken laughter. Maybe this was her true role after all, background character. But as the laughter faded, she wiped her hands and looked up at the house again. One day, I'll tell my own story. Not just serve in someone else's. The day after the wedding, Amara searched online for flats. She quickly realized how expensive the world really was when you're suddenly homeless. A decent one-bedroom apartment was far beyond her means. She considered moving far outside town, but commuting would drain her energy and her pay. Eventually, she found a cramped room in a noisy shared compound. The walls were paper-thin. The plumbing groaned. The neighborhood dogs barked all night. But the rent was manageable. "Welcome to reality," she told herself, dropping her suitcase on the thin mattress. At work, she tried to keep smiling, but her colleagues noticed the dim in her once sparkling eyes. Mrs. Hassan, her manager, pulled her aside. "You've been off lately." "Just personal stuff," Amara replied quickly. "Anything you need to talk about?" She shook her head. That evening, back in her new room, she sat in darkness during a power cut, the hum of generators drowning her thoughts. From outside, a neighbor was arguing with her boyfriend. Somewhere upstairs, a baby cried. She thought of the old house, of her warm, lavender-scented room. The peace. She pressed her face into a pillow to muffle a sob. For the first time she felt poor, not just financially but emotionally poor. Like someone stripped of roots, of history, of belonging. Then she remembered something her grandmother used to say. "When the tree is cut, it doesn't die, it grows again in another soil." Amara wiped her tears. She wasn't a victim. Not anymore. Amara opened one last box she had forgotten to unpack. It was labeled miscellaneous. Inside, old greeting cards, dried-out pens, and faded notebooks. Then an envelope. Yellowed with age, sealed with wax, addressed in familiar handwriting. "To the rightful woman of this home. Love, Mama Neka." Her heart raced. "Grandma?" She tore it open, hands shaking. "My dear granddaughter, if you're reading this, something has shifted. This home was meant for the one who nurtured it with love, not the one who decorated it for show. A house is bricks. A home is who you are within its walls. They may take the structure but never forget, you built its soul. One day your name will be on a home no one can take from you. Be patient. Stay kind. And rise." Tears slid down Amara's cheeks. It wasn't just a letter. It was a reminder. She hadn't imagined her connection to that house. Her love had mattered. Her presence had left a mark. She pressed the letter to her chest. In that moment something shifted. The grief didn't vanish, but it no longer controlled her. She wasn't invisible. She wasn't forgotten. She was rising. Amara's phone rang just before sunrise. "Hello. Amara, it's Mrs. Hassan," her boss said. "I didn't wake you, did I?" "No, Ma. I wanted to let you know. I've been observing your work. Even through your silence." Amara sat up straighter. "You've been consistent even under pressure. Quiet, but sharp. We need someone to lead the new outreach tech project." Amara's mouth fell open. "Me? You?" She stammered. I'm honored." Mrs. Hassan chuckled. "You're more than capable. And one more thing." "Yes. You've got a story. Don't bury it. You never know who it might lift." Amara looked out her window. The compound was waking up, clanging pots, shouting children, life in its raw form. But something felt different. That day at work, she wore her best blouse. Held her head higher. Spoke louder in meetings. And when she passed a mirror on the hallway wall, she didn't look away. For the first time in weeks, Amara smiled, not out of politeness, but because she remembered her power. It was a rainy Thursday evening. Amara dashed into a small cafe near her office, drenched from Lagos' moody weather. She ordered tea and sank into a corner seat, trying to catch her breath. "Amara?" She looked up and blinked. It was Daniel. Tall, bearded, and smiling with familiarity. "Daniel?" she gasped. "Daniel Alise? Wow, I knew that was you. You haven't changed a bit." She chuckled. "You have. You grew a beard and became taller, or maybe I shrank from stress." He laughed. "Mind if I join you?" They sat and talked, about university days, missed connections, and careers. Then the topic shifted. "So what have you been up to lately?" he asked. She hesitated, then exhaled. "Well, my parents gave away our house." His brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" "They gave it to my younger sister as a wedding gift. Without telling me. And I was living there." Daniel leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "They did what?" "Yep. Moved all my things out. Told me I'd figure it out." "Amara, that's insane. That house was your childhood home. Tell that to my mother." He shook his head, visibly upset. "You've always been the grounded one. You carried them for years. I thought I didn't matter." He looked at her seriously. "You matter more than they ever let on." She blinked, caught off guard. Daniel pulled out a business card. Look, I work with community startups now. Tech outreach education. We've been looking for someone like you. Daniel? Just think about it. You deserve better. And if they couldn't see it, let the world see it instead. As the rain slowed outside, so did her heartbeat. Maybe this was her second beginning. Amara sat at her desk late into the night, drafting her first proposal for a community coding program for girls. The passion poured out like it had been waiting all along. She thought of all the young Amaras out there, told to make themselves small to keep the peace. Not anymore. She launched the project quietly. A weekend class. Free for the first 10 students. She borrowed chairs from neighbors, used her laptop, and taught in F's backyard. At first, only 3 girls came. Then 6. By the third weekend, the yard was full. Parents started asking questions. Local blogs picked up her story. Then came the tech summit. Daniel, smiling like a proud brother, stood in the audience as Amara stepped on stage. She took a breath and said into the mic, "You can lose a house but never your worth." She spoke of injustice, of rising, of teaching the next generation to code not just in systems, but in self-belief. Her voice shook, but the applause didn't. Someone filmed the speech. Within 48 hours it was viral. Homeless to hopeful, Amara's journey. #CodeForGirls. #RiseFromAshes. Her inbox flooded. Sponsors. Volunteers. Messages from strangers. "You gave me courage." Amara looked at her reflection that night. She wasn't the forgotten daughter anymore. She was becoming somebody. The video kept climbing. By Monday morning, Amara had over 50,000 followers on social media. People from Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, even the US, were sharing her story. An influencer tweeted, "She was kicked out of her home and turned pain into power. I stan." The comments section overflowed with, "You're the big sister we never had. You've inspired me to leave my toxic job. Can I join your next class?" Daniel called, laughing. "You're officially a celebrity." She smiled. "I don't want fame. I want change." But fame was knocking anyway. Mrs. Hassan invited her for lunch. "You've built something special. The firm wants to fund your program and partner with your tech school initiative." Amara choked on her juice. "You're serious?" "Very." She left the restaurant dizzy with gratitude. But as her name trended online, back at the family home, cracks were beginning to show. Isioma was no longer posting couple photos. Her last caption read, "Some gifts come with strings." Chuka's mother, reportedly displeased, had confronted her. "You brought nothing to the table but a house, and even that feels empty." Amara didn't gloat. She read the blog updates in silence. This wasn't revenge. It was revelation. Still, her phone buzzed with a number she hadn't seen in weeks. "Papa." She stared. "Do I answer?" She let it ring out. Her story had just begun. Isioma sat at the dining table, picking at her food. Mama hovered nearby. "What's wrong with you again?" Mama asked, tired. "It's Chuka," Isioma muttered. "He's distant." Mama waved her hand. "Men are like that after weddings. He barely comes home. His mother hates me." Mama hissed. "You're his wife. Hold your ground." "But the house isn't enough. They expected land, business, money. You are the prize." Isioma looked away. In the living room, the TV showed Amara giving an interview on a morning show. Her name floated in bold letters below. Tech leader rising, from betrayal to breakthrough. Isioma's jaw tightened. "She's everywhere," she said. Mama didn't respond. "Do you ever wonder," Isioma whispered, "if we chose the wrong daughter to celebrate?" Mama snapped. "Don't start." Isioma rose from the table. "We took from her, Mama. And now it feels like this house is cursed." Mama's eyes flashed. "Don't be ridiculous." But deep down, she wondered the same. Back in her room, Isioma scrolled through Amara's photos. Classrooms full of smiling girls, testimonials, awards. Her thumb hovered over the like button. Then stopped. Instead, she turned off the phone, pulled a pillow over her head, and cried quietly into the sheets Amara once bought. Amara was reviewing budgets when her phone buzzed again. "Papa." This time she answered. "Hello." A beat of silence. Then, "Amara, please. Come home. Your mother wants to speak with you." She paused. "I'm not the same girl who left," she said softly. "I know." He sounded tired. "Older. Come this Sunday. Just talk. That's all." She agreed, but on her terms. On Sunday afternoon, she stepped into the house that once discarded her. Mama was in the kitchen, Papa seated stiffly in the parlor. Isioma sat curled in a corner. "Welcome," Mama said quietly. No lace. No makeup. Just her voice, bare. Papa coughed. We didn't handle things right. Mama added, "We thought we were doing what's best. For the family." "You gave my foundation to someone else," Amara replied. Without a word. "I'm sorry," Mama whispered. Silence stretched between them. "Amara," Isioma finally said, "I was jealous of how you made this house feel like a home. I didn't know what I was doing." Amara's lips trembled. "I forgive you," she said. "But I won't forget." They all nodded. Forgiveness wasn't for them. It was for her own freedom. And she was finally free. Amara stood by the entrance of the living room, the same place she once served drinks as a forgotten daughter. This time she wore a tailored blazer, her hair in a sleek bun, confidence in every step. Mama looked up from the table, visibly nervous. "You look different," Papa said gently. "I am," Amara replied, placing her bag beside her chair. "Let's talk." The room was heavy with tension. Isioma sat across, eyes downcast. Papa cleared his throat. "We want you to know we've been watching you. We're proud." Amara nodded slowly. "I'm not here for validation." Mama's eyes brimmed. "We made a mistake." "No," Amara said calmly. "You made a decision. And I made one too, to rise." Isioma spoke up. "I didn't understand how much this house meant to you, until I moved in. It doesn't feel like mine. It never has." Amara looked at her, then at the walls. The paint was still fresh, but the soul was gone. "This house raised me," Amara said. "But you all asked me to shrink to make room for someone else. And I did. For a while." Silence. "I'm not here to move back. I came to close the chapter." Papa looked pained. "We don't deserve your forgiveness." "Maybe not," Amara whispered. "But I gave it anyway. For myself." Mama reached across the table. "Can we ever be family again?" "We'll see," Amara said, rising. "But not on the same terms." She walked out, head held high, heart light, for the first time in years. A week later, Amara stood inside a high-rise office in Lekki Phase 1. The view of the ocean stretched far beyond the tinted glass. Mrs. Hassan smiled, sliding a document toward her. "This is it. A 40% partnership in our new female-led tech initiative. You'll lead it." Amara scanned the contract. Her name was printed in bold at the top. Amara Obinna, founding partner. She blinked rapidly, emotion creeping in. "You built this," Mrs. Hassan said softly. "Not just from code, but from courage." Amara sighed. Flashes of her past ran through her mind. The old porch, the insult of being ignored, the suitcase dragging behind her. This was more than a signature. It was a declaration. Later, she stood in the empty office space that would soon be hers. She touched the clean white wall, envisioning bright posters, eager students, and opportunity echoing off every corner. Her phone buzzed. "Daniel, told you this day would come. Let's celebrate?" She smiled. "Not yet." She turned back to the window and whispered, "This is my home now. One no one can take from me." For the first time, she wasn't rebuilding what she'd lost. She was building something entirely new. A knock echoed through Amara's new office. She looked up to find Isioma standing in the doorway, no makeup, eyes tired. "Isioma?" "Hey," her voice cracked. "Can I come in?" Amara motioned to a chair. Isioma sat quietly, twisting her fingers. Chuka left. He moved to Abuja for work. His family, they said I brought nothing to the table. Amara listened without interruption. "I thought marrying into wealth would make me feel whole," Isioma continued. "But it just made me feel smaller." She paused. "I need a place to stay. Just for a few days." Amara leaned back. A year ago she might have said yes. Out of guilt. Out of sisterhood. But today? She reached into her drawer and slid a card across the desk. "Hotel Serenity. Tell them Amara Obinna referred you." Isioma blinked. "You won't let me stay?" "I'm setting a boundary." Isioma looked hurt. "You have your journey. I have mine," Amara said gently. "I'll always care about you, but not at the cost of myself." Isioma took the card slowly. "You've changed. I've healed." They shared a long, quiet glance. Isioma stood. "Thank you, for not slamming the door." Amara replied, "Thank you for knocking." And with that her sister left. Amara exhaled, unshaken, rooted, whole. Weeks passed. One evening Amara found herself driving down Jasmine Close. She didn't plan to stop, but her hands slowed on instinct. Number 14. The house was there just like always, but the lights were dim, the compound quiet. She stepped out, peered through the gate. The bougainvillea was overgrown. The paint slightly chipped. The laughter was gone. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folded note, and slipped it through the iron gate. To whoever lives here now. This house raised me. I loved it deeply. But I no longer belong to it. If you feel lost in it, maybe you're not supposed to stay. Homes don't always come with walls. Sometimes they come with peace. Amara. She turned back to her car. Behind her, wind rustled the trees gently. There were no tears. No ache. Only peace. She drove away, not from her past but from the need to reclaim it. Because she had finally claimed herself. 1 year later, Amara stood at the podium in her new tech center. Glass walls, bright light, and rows of eager girls in uniform. And so, today we're launching our first scholarship program, she announced, smiling. Camera shutters clicked. Applause thundered. She looked over at the banner above her. The Amara Obinna Foundation, Code, Courage, and Change. Daniel stood in the crowd, clapping proudly. Mrs. Hassan gave a subtle nod of approval. As the girls came forward to receive their tablets and certificates, one whispered, "You make me believe I can be somebody." Amara bent down, eye level with her. "You already are, sweetheart." After the ceremony, she walked through the halls, pausing at the donor wall. Her name was etched in gold. At the exit, she glanced into the mirror beside the lobby. The same face stared back, but now with new eyes. Eyes that no longer begged for permission to belong. She stepped into the sunshine, wind in her hair, strength in every step. Not to prove anyone wrong, but to show every forgotten girl that they too could rise. Because in losing her home, she finally found herself. Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe, and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.